Well, hello there. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 11 ways to add significant revenue to your bottom line with no BS. So I'm Haley Gray, and I am the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network, which I started in April of 2015. I have helped tens of thousands of business owners add hundreds of millions of dollars to their bottom line. No joke. I grew the group starting in April of 2015 to over 76,000 members organically without the use of paid ads. I know how to leverage organic and paid methods to help business owners grow. I'm also an engineer. I'm a programmer with a background in software engineering and programming from IBM and EMC and a bunch of really high-tech companies and a couple of startups along the way. And I also have my MBA from Duke with a concentration in entrepreneurship and innovation. I have actually written 3 of my own books. One was focusing on the home care industry when I owned my home care agency. And I have written 2 business books, one of which is a marketing book called Fearless Marketing. I can say I haven't quite done it all, but I've done a lot of it. I've done it all in my household while balancing having a child with a traumatic brain injury from a fall from a horse from 2015 and 42 hospitalizations. Yep, you heard that right, 42. And that's just in the last 8 years. We never know when we're going to have another hospitalization. So part of my life and part of my story with growing my business and being good at what I'm doing is learning to balance self-care and family with growing a business. In that time, I've also lost, 160 pounds. I did have bariatric surgery, and I have managed to keep that weight off for 4 years and counting. So I'm here to tell you that you can have it all. You maybe can't have it all at once, but I've done it. I have lived it. And I'm not here about bullshit options. I curse like a sailor. I'm a real person. And, my life is its own glorious mess of its own. We're going to talk today about 11 ways that you can add significant revenue to your bottom line. And I'm going to give you examples of pros and cons, and then I'm going to do a whole video series of each of these 11 methods because I want you to benefit from these and help your business grow. So why don't we jump in? The first way that I help a ton of business owners see a significant improvement to their bottom line is simply with closing marketing gaps, improving their marketing, and making them literally millions of dollars. What do I mean by that? Well, what I've run into with most business owners, whether they're making $5,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $5 million or $50 million a year, is that they have gaps in their marketing. What happens with that? Well, actually what it does is it drives your cost of client acquisition and retention way up. By finding and fixing those gaps, by improving funnels, by improving search engine optimization, by addressing certain key issues depending on the industry of the client, we're able to help them attract and retain more customers cheaper. That means that we are adding significant revenue to their bottom line. And because each client is cheaper to obtain, they are able to make more money in the long run. Now, the cool thing is that when we start implementing all of our strategies together, and we work our way through the end-to-end processes in the business, we actually see exponential growth in a lot of these businesses. It's really cool to see. And you're probably going to ask me, well, what industries does this apply to? Well, it applies to coaching. I've done it with a carpet cleaning business. I've done it with several magazines. I've done it with chemical transfer companies. I have done it with builders. I have done it with a whole host of different industries, and it works consistently. It's because foundational marketing concepts are foundational marketing concepts, no matter what industry you're in. Yes, you may have industry-specific CRMs, and there may be industry-specific software. And by closing the gaps, what we see for most of our business owners is that we do add hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to their bottom line simply by finding and fixing those gaps. That's what I do, why I do what I do, because honestly, a lot of business owners come to me and they say, I need SEO or I need ads. And my first question is inevitably, why do you need the thing that you're asking me for? Because a lot of them have been burned in the past. A lot of business owners like you, probably everybody else I've ever met. And part of the reason I do websites now is because people have been burned. They've been burned really, really badly. They've been sold a new website that frankly, they didn't need to do. I'm in conversations with a fairly large nonprofit right now, and we did their website about 4 years ago, and we are going to update their website in the next few months, but we are not doing a full website rebuild because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the overall structure of their website. We just need to do some simple updates to it, and it will save them a ton of money for us to do updates because we designed it correctly in the first place. And then, we can keep going from there. So it's about being smart and not putting yourself into a situation where you're constantly having to redo work that you've already done. It's about being smart and leveraging the resources that you already have, leveraging things to make more money with the things that we have. And one of the things that my team really gets frustrated at and also conversely loves is that if we buy a tool in my business, we use it until the cows come home. And I'm a big believer in making sure that whatever tools we implement in a client's business, we use until the cows come home and we squeeze every single dollar and every single penny out of it. Because I don't know about your business, but my business doesn't just have money to waste. If I'm wasting money, that is my Starbucks budget. And let me tell you, I like my Starbucks. So I am not wasting my Starbucks budget on silly things in my business. The next thing that you can do, number 2, is increasing customer value. I like to think of that as, would you like fries with that? The best example I can give you that is super easy to understand is back when my daughter was selling Girl Scout cookies. My personal example, you see it a lot in fast food restaurants when they upsell you to a bigger size or they give you additional sides in your meal, right? But when my daughters were selling Girl Scout cookies, my older daughter actually sold 10,000 boxes of cookies in her lifetime. And the average number of boxes of cookies that a girl sells over her Girl Scout career is typically in the 800 box range. So my oldest daughter, who is now 25, actually managed to sell over 10,000 boxes of cookies. And I think she partly did it because it was a competition with her sister. So there is an element of competition here. But her younger sister, my now 22-year-old daughter, sold 23,000 boxes of cookies lifetime. And let me just tell you that I am just wildly impressed. And part of it was because she had phenomenal sales techniques. People would come up and they would ask for a box of cookies. And she would ask them if they would like the little box of cookies or the big box of cookies. And she would hold up the box of cookies and she would hold up the case of cookies. Not surprisingly, she occasionally sold a case of cookies to somebody who was only intending to buy one box of cookies. And not infrequently, she actually, instead of selling one box of cookies to somebody, sold 2 or 3 or 4 boxes of cookies, even in high school. When they're younger, people think they're cuter and they tend to buy more from them. So the next thing that she did was that she would raise money for Operation Cookie Drop. And Operation Cookie Drop is where the girls raise money for buying cookies to send to the troops that are overseas. And she was phenomenal at doing this and actually taught girls in her troop and beyond how to dramatically increase their revenues and their cookie sales for the year simply by asking a simple question at the end of every sale. Would you like to donate some or all of your change to buy cookies for our soldiers who are serving overseas? Now, she didn't always get a yes. Sometimes people would donate to the troops. Sometimes people would donate to Operation Cookie Drop. The cool thing is that every single time she did a cookie booth, and because we were selling 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000 boxes of cookies a year, she would get an extra $100 a year, which is an extra 20 to 30 boxes of Girl Scout cookies sold for every single cookie booth that she did. So it dramatically increased her sales. And it meant that every single person who went by, instead of spending $3.50, would spend $5. Instead of spending $7, they would spend $10. That increased the amount of each total sale, which drove her numbers way up. And because she was spending time in front of the right stores at the right times, and she spent a lot of time at cookie booths, we would see a vast improvement in her numbers because she would ask everybody who went by if they would like to buy a box of Girl Scout cookies, and then she went through the rigmarole. So if you can increase the number of sales and increase the dollar value for each and every single sale that you make, or more of the sales that you make, you're obviously going to add a lot of money to your bottom line. Now, is it easy? Not always. But one of the things that you may find is that if you find ways to add revenue to what you're doing and increase your average amount per sale, you're going to get more money to your bottom line. Number 3, membership. This is something that I do in my business, and it's something that I am a huge believer in. You can have low-cost memberships and you can have higher-cost memberships. I actually do it in a couple of different ways in my business. The first way that I do it is I use Patreon to help me manage memberships in my Women's Entrepreneur Network. And I offer different membership levels. And at different membership levels, you receive different benefits and services. Really cool, right? So I offer people the opportunity to promote themselves in Women's Entrepreneur Network. And they can either do video or no video, and they have different options. Or they can just buy me a Starbucks once a month based on what they're doing and support the efforts that we have going on in the group. It also helps pay for our admins, and it pays for a lot of things that go on in Women's Entrepreneur Network. So memberships can add a significant amount of revenue to what you're doing in your business. The next way that I use memberships is I either do masterminds, or I also offer a situation where I do a basic monitoring and service level for people who want tech support for their business. We offer an online listing builder. We do reputation management. We monitor their online listings, and we make sure that we send reportings for basic things like search engine optimization and whatnot. Cool thing is that's only $150 a month, and they get a tremendous amount of value for what we're doing. Number 4, time management and time multiplication. So as you've probably gathered, I personally don't have a lot of extra time in my life. My extra time has been largely dedicated to managing my oldest daughter's healthcare and dealing with hospitals, dealing with doctors, dealing with social workers. This week, I've already had a hullabaloo, and I'm sure I will have one next week, and I'll have one every single week between now and Kingdom Come. And I am certain that my time will be taken away from me, whether or not I was planning on it. So one of the things that I have had to learn over time is to be extremely smart about using my time. And today, for instance, my husband has taken the dogs to the dog park so that I can re-record this video so that you don't have the pleasure of hearing my coon hound yell in the background while I'm trying to do the video. And one of the things that I see a ton with entrepreneurs is that they waste a ton of time. They do activities that are not money producing activities, that are not sales producing activities, that are not visibility producing activities, and they dither and they swirl. They also aren't putting in enough time into their businesses in order to be successful. They're not doing enough of the things that need to happen in order to be successful. I'm not saying that you have to do every single thing in your business. I'm saying that you need to be really honest with how much time you're putting in and how much time you can put into your business. My brain only works a certain number of hours per day. After that, I can do emails and I can do inconsequential things. But Lord help me if I try to force my brain to do things beyond my capacity. It doesn't work and I start breaking stuff. I also need 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, which is on the higher end of the range. And let me just say that if I don't get enough sleep, I am absolutely non-functional after about 3 or 4 days. So I have learned that I have to be super careful. I have to be careful with when and how I eat because I had weight loss surgery. I have to be careful with how and when I exercise. I have to be careful with how and when I sleep. That only leaves me a certain number of hours a day to do work. And some of my hours every day are probably going to be taken up managing my oldest daughter's care. So that said, I've had to learn to track my time carefully and put my time and effort and energy into a prioritized list of where I want to spend my time and how I want to spend it. I have learned that I have to charge by the value of what I do and by the market rate of what I do, not necessarily by the hour for most of the tasks that our business does. That allows for time multiplication and it allows for more income and more revenue. So tracking the time and charging the right way will absolutely make you more money in your business. Don't mistake. You have to know exactly how much time you're putting in and where you're putting your time and what you're putting your time into. It's like keeping a food journal. Nobody wants to do it. And when you start tracking your time and how much time you're putting into things, suddenly you find that maybe you're not spending as much time as you want. I have a client who was telling me that she was putting in a ton of time. And once she finally tracked her hours, was well below what we would consider full-time hours, even though she was supposedly working on her job full-time. She was working less than 30 hours a week and not getting the results she needed. And drilling into it further, productive hours were less than actually 15 a week. So know that being productive is hugely important. Being productive with the time and not being procrastinative. I'm not talking about being productive like I was in the sense of cleaning the bathrooms while I was procrastinating from studying for financial accounting when I was at Duke getting my MBA. Because trust me, accounting was probably one of my least favorite but most useful courses that I took while I was there. The next thing that we're going to talk about, number 5, is a podcast strategy. And I am a big believer in knowing your strategy before you buy the first cute piece of equipment, before you buy that microphone, before you go out and buy all the expensive stuff for your podcast. You need to know, what are we doing? Where are we going? And why are we in this handbasket? Begin with the end in mind, per Stephen Covey. Which means that if you can begin with the end in mind, you're going to do much better than somebody who's just doing a podcast to raise visibility. Being visible just for the sake of being visible isn't necessarily going to generate more clients in your business. One of the things that I have learned the hard way with several 100,000 followers across all of my channels is that you simply cannot eat followers. People listening to your podcast, if it's not targeted correctly, is probably not going to generate customers and clients for you. So being smart about your strategy, where do you want people to go? How do you want them to go? Where do you want them to go? So please make sure that your podcast has a strategy. Think about things like reuse. How are you going to take a single episode and reuse it and re-promote it? Most people under-promote their podcasts. They don't leverage their podcasts and they don't make them do the maximum amount of work for them. Because if you remember, one of my things is I like to see people get the maximum value for the minimum amount of work that they're doing and leveraging the heck out of every single piece of software. Thus, they need to leverage the daylights out of every single podcast. That means transcribing your podcast, turning it into about 50 to 100 social media posts, turning that same podcast into roughly 200 to 300 pins on Pinterest. Because believe it or not, Pinterest is one of the biggest ways that you can drive traffic to your website and you can drive search traffic to your business. So if you take the graphics that you create and the pins that you create and you add the snippets of the text and you make it things that are searchable on Pinterest, for instance, you can drive more traffic to your podcast and you can drive more traffic to your website. It is a win-win. Now, the next thing that people frequently don't do with their podcasts is they don't have a solid, what do I do next from here? What do you want people to do next in your podcast? Think about it. Think about what your strategy is and where the top of your funnel is. What do you want people to do next? Is it book a call? Is it review something? Is it get a free download? What is the thing that you want people to do next? And I see people flub this all the time. I am amazed at how many people on YouTube don't have a simple website with a simple way to support them or buy something from them or do anything else. And a lot of times people just start and then they hope that they're going to build something going down. Honestly, I think if you start with that beginning with that end in mind of knowing what you're trying to do with your podcast, you're going to do much better. And I see it over and over again with my clients. If we begin with the end in mind, whether it's a podcast or anything else, you're going to do much better. And the cool thing is that done correctly, you're going to have a huge social media strategy to go with your podcast. Number 6 is a book strategy. So one of the things I really want to tell you is that books, while a tremendous vanity metric, are also frequently a tremendous and epic waste of time for a lot of business owners. They can be a huge vanity metric. Being an Amazon bestseller sounds really wonderful, and it can mean absolutely nothing to your bottom line without a solid book strategy in place. On the other hand, if you take your book and you leverage it, you can drive millions of dollars of sales because you're leveraging the book and you're doing it in a way that's intelligent. Now, I'm not here to say that necessarily offering a free book to a cold audience that has never seen you before is going to work. That's why you need a strategy. Offering a book to a warm audience is going to get you a ton of buyers, and it's going to drive people that have already read your work and they understand and they know you, and they're going to be much more willing to engage with you. Now, one of the things about books is that you cannot deliver something that is of crappy quality, just like you can't deliver a free download that is of crappy quality, because then you've burned your audience and they're not going to come back because you've already violated their trust. So think about it. When you have a good book strategy with a clear call to action and you send it out to your warm audience and you advertise that book to your warm audience with a good call to action, you can do amazing things with that book. I have personally made millions of dollars off of my book, Fearless Marketing. because I keep promoting it over and over again. And I do it primarily to a warm audience. And I send out a physical paper copy of my book. It's my $4 calling card to people who are prospects and who might actually be willing to buy from me. Number 7. Oh, one of my favorites. Marketing and operations integration. One of the struggles I see with a lot of business owners, and I've seen it with friends and colleagues and other business owners, is that they do not integrate their marketing and their operations. And they cannot quickly get quotes out, and they cannot quickly onboard people through their process, through their sales process. If you are going to do paid advertising, and even if you're not going to do paid advertising, you need to be looking at the customer end-to-end life cycle and onboarding, offboarding, and all of your communications with your clients, because believe it or not, you are selling them at every single step of the way. If your communication is clear and crisp and clean, then you are much more likely to be able to make bigger sales. If your communication is not crisp and clean and prompt, you are going to have a lot of problems in your communications with clients. So you're going to lose clients and you're going to lose a lot of money. The faster you can get out estimates, if you're doing custom products, the faster you can make your sales, the faster you can get everything out there, the better your marketing is going to do. And here's the thing. If you do something like you own a restaurant, like one of my clients does, capturing as many email addresses as you possibly can is going to be vital for your business going forward. Because here's the thing. People aren't just going to automatically come back and walk in the door. They might. Some percentage will. But with the craziness that is our current inflation and our current economy, and always will be, you want to keep top of mind and you want people to know about all of the things that you're doing in your business. End-to-end marketing and operations is vitally important so that somebody can almost easily optimize what they want and how they want it done, and then they can get a quote and they can buy it from you almost right there on the spot. Number 8 is adding revenue streams to your business. So if you are not currently making a good amount of sales, I don't recommend adding additional revenue streams because it is simply a distraction. If you are constantly hustling for the next dollar and you are breaking your back trying to make money, adding additional revenue streams, telling people that you can do that may not really be the best use of your time. But if you are able to add complementary services to what you're doing and easily add money to your bottom line, so in this case for me, monetizing my social media because I happen to have a fairly large following online makes a bit of sense. It adds a few dollars here and there up to a lot of dollars here and there to my business. So adding complementary revenue streams makes a bunch of sense. I've also added some products, which I find hilarious, other people find offensive, that are my manifesting cards and their F-bombs. And what it allows me to do is test Shopify and play with ads and integrations between Meta, Google, and Shopify in my own website, in my own sandbox, and it allows me to make a few extra dollars here and there. It's not something that I have a huge focus on, but it is a ton of fun. So think about adding some additional revenue streams to your business, but not unless you're already consistently making sales. If you're not consistently making sales, you should be doing the things that you need to be doing to make consistent revenue and consistent sales. Number 9 is bigger ticket items. So just as we say that we want to add fries to a customer's order, we may want to actually add bigger ticket items to our menu. That may mean more done-for-you services. It may mean more done-with-you services. It may mean offering things at a premium rate. Offering bigger ticket items so that people can buy from you means that you have to make fewer sales at a higher price to make more money. And if you structure it correctly, you're not necessarily adding a ton of extra work to your world. So what am I thinking about? Well, I'm thinking about a restaurant owner that sells their own private label with their own bottles of wine, and they add an extra $38 per bottle that they sell. Since it's their own production and their own labels, they make a good, healthy profit. And they're adding that to the cost of each meal. So that makes sense, right? So think about what the higher ticket items are and how you can bring people in that have that higher budget, that are willing to spend higher ticket items. It doesn't just have to be expensive coaching packages. It can be all sorts of things. It could be somebody who wants custom homes built. If you are a home builder, it could be all kinds of things. So number 10 is online visibility. And this is something that I spend a ton of time with clients on. If people don't know that you exist, they can't buy from you. So make it easy for people to buy from you. I am a big believer in constantly building your email list and your platforms, and always building on at least 2 platforms. And a lot of people think I'm a little bit irrational about this, and I will tell you exactly why I'm a big believer in being visible on at least 2 platforms. Imagine for a second that your Facebook account gets hacked and it gets shut down and you lose access to your account. Boom, you just lost one of your platforms. I've had that happen to customers. I've also seen it happen where people lose access to their LinkedIn account. Make sure that you are always building at least 2 platforms. You may be building one as a primary and one as a secondary. That's fine. I always recommend in being highly visible. The more visible you are, the more likely you are to be top of mind. And if you can keep building your relationships and nurturing people and being highly visible, the next time they're looking to purchase, they're going to be much more likely to purchase from you. And remember, one of the things that I have learned from one of my coaches, Katarina Rando, is that there are the Insta Yes clients. There are these slow cookers. There are the super slow cookers, and there are these super, super slow cookers. And in fact, I've had all of these in my business, and some of my best clients have been these super, super slow cookers who circled me for 2 or more years, literally before they ever even liked a single Facebook post. And yes, it really does happen. And number 11 is navigating the changing social media and marketing environments. Algorithm changes are the name of the game. Algorithm changes happen on a daily basis. I can guarantee you that Facebook, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, every single social media platform out there is breaking things on a daily basis. I rarely have a day where an algorithm change or something that got broken doesn't impact my job. And that's why I'm here. I help my clients, I help my friends, I help the people around me to navigate all of the insanity that is all of the broken stuff. And in fact, one of my clients messaged me this morning and he said, I bleeping hate Facebook. And I'm like, me too. And I'm having exactly the same problem you are. And I've had it for the last 3 weeks. And in fact, I'm having to get help in several different ways because I can't access some of the admin opportunities in my own Facebook group at the moment. And I haven't been able to do so for 3 weeks. So thank you, Facebook, for breaking some stuff that I desperately needed in my business, and know that we are living it. And the thing is that these platforms make changes and they roll changes out and they break things and they don't particularly care and they don't tell you about it. It just is. Whether you are talking about Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or X or TikTok or Pinterest or any platform, they keep rolling the changes out to try to add features and functionality and try to close off all kinds of things. So just know that navigating those changes is probably going to cost your business hundreds of thousands of dollars as you're growing. And being able to stay on top of all of the changes as they happen is an important skill set. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help my clients navigate the nonsense that happens on a daily basis online. I'm Haley Gray. I hope that this has helped. I hope that this has given you some ideas for ways to add revenue in your business. I hope that it will help you make a ton more money. I've given you 11 ways that you can dramatically increase the revenue in your business and add significant revenue to your bottom line. They are marketing improvements, closing the gaps. Number 2, customer value, increasing your customer value. Number 3, memberships. Number 4, time management and time multiplication. Number 5, podcasting and podcast strategies. Number 6, book writing and book strategies and book promotion. Marketing and operations integration is number 7. Number 8 is adding revenue streams to your business. Number 9 is adding bigger ticket items. Number 10 is increasing your online visibility. And number 11 is navigating the madness that is the online world. I hope that you have an awesome night. If you've got questions, and I'm sure that you're probably going to have a ton of questions, book a call. The link is below. And I would love to chat with you and see how I can help you add at least $200,000 to your bottom line. Let's do it.